ẹ ṣe gan ni ẹ tó ń pè wá sórí nọ́mbà ẹ ti disturb.
ọmọ ìṣòwò lórí gbọ́dọ̀ political organization Sudan àwọn ìjà ni àwọn dúró kan pé gan wọ́n sì everything inú wa kú àwọn tó máa yí máa yí ìdàdé lòdì wọn máa sọ máa gbàjọ máa pàdé wọn.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
then kí wá come to the main topic àwọn tó máa yí máa yí ìdàdé lòdì wọn máa sọ máa gbàjọ máa pàdé wọn. kò ṣe é fẹ́ni sọ kí wá come to the main topic àwọn tó máa yí máa yí ìdàdé lòdì wọn máa sọ. àwọn ìjà ni àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ máa ti ìṣẹ́ tó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí àwọn ọmọ wọn tí àwọn tó máa yí máa yí ìdàdé lòdì wọn máa sọ máa gbàjọ máa pàdé wọn. wọ́n ti yá wẹ̀lì gan-an àbúrò àwọn ọ̀dọ́ kú nìkan. àbáwọn Kọ́láwọlé wá ti yòrò ni. à ń sọ nípa lifetime ambition.
lifetime ambition. I love that. Mo like nǹkan tẹ́ ẹ sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ lifetime ambition. Lifetime.
nígbà tí àwa náà ń ṣọmọdé láyé ní àgbà táwọn àti wàkẹ́.
ẹ má bínú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wà lórí Instagram ní wọ́n ti disturb wa.
tó máa sọ politics níwájú ilé wa lọ́dún máa sọ pé ìlú yìí a máa pín ní after 30 years ago a máa pín ní kóníkàlùkù máa láyé láti gbà yẹn wọ́n ti sọ ní kóníkàlùkù máa láyé láyé rẹ̀ that means ó ti wà nínú àwọn bàbá wa gan nígbà yẹn náà. bọ̀ wọn ò mẹ́ni tó máa wọ́n máa activate.
wọ́n mọ́ bá ṣe máa activate ẹ̀.
wọ́n náà wá gbà mí lọ́jọ́ títí sí pé àsìkò tí lẹ́jà rí àsìkò tí ẹ má wọ́ọ̀rì a máa lọ.
ẹ ṣe gan ni.
Yorùbá wá ní pé ìlú bá ti ń dún ládùújú rẹ̀ ìyá ni. ìlú tó bá ti ń dún bàtà bá ti ń ronú pọ̀lọpọ̀lọpọ̀lọpọ̀lọ ó fẹ́ ìyá nìyẹn. àsìkò ní Nàìjíríà fẹ́ ìyá lọ́rọ̀ wọn yín dàrú yìí lọ́rọ̀ wọn kò yíra wọn mọ́.
Thank you so much. ẹ ṣe gan ni mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín ẹ ṣe gan ni. ẹ rí i pé a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ broadcast lórí system wa níbí báyìí because mo máa migrate wa lọ sínú orí software because mo ní láti shut down ti gbogbo tá à ń lò lórí phone àwọn dáhùn pé mo ti rí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi tí mi náà ti pè mo kí gbogbo we love all the Yorubas regardless of our views whether we disagree normal nìyẹn a gbọ́dọ̀ disagree but the most important thing is ẹ máa kí ẹ wá sọ wá di òmùgọ̀. Yoruba nation is very very important to everybody even those that disagree with Nigeria. Hello caller, you are live with us ẹgbọn sókè.
ẹ kò ṣe náà.
gbogbo àjọ ń ṣe ní ìgbọ́n mi.
Hello.
mo ń gbọ́ yín ẹ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́sàn.
ṣe ẹ send owó sí owó mobilization sí nǹkan bí mo.
wọ́n béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi wàláì bí wọ́n gbàgbé ni wọ́n béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi kò sẹ́nì kankan tó béèrè lọ́wọ́ mi.
nígbà tí mo pè wọlé ní last year tí mo sọ statement kan pé wọ́n ò tí ì rẹ́dí àwọn ará rẹ̀ Yorùbá Nàìjíríà ò tí ì rẹ́dí. bí ẹ̀gbà tó rẹ́dí sí ǹjẹ́ send owó tó fi ń jáde.
kò sẹ́ni tó béèrè.
wọ́n mọ̀ bí jẹ́rí ọ̀rọ̀ pé ẹni tó sọ̀rọ̀ before tó sọ wípé wọ́n play mind game náà ń play wọ́n fẹ́ try lórí subsidy nsìn wọ́n ti win wọ́n máa yọ subsidy wọ́n ti rí pé ṣọ ẹ̀ lè rí pé 1,000 naira tẹ́ ẹ bá ti rí tó bá wà àbílẹ̀kọ àbí wọ́n máa yọ subsidy ibẹ̀ yẹn dín ìnira yẹn tún ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa wá dé fáwọn àwọn èèyàn wa. tó nísìnyí ẹ má wulẹ̀ waste owó yín mọ́ ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n fúnra ara wọn náà máa jáde.
àwa náà nídìí owó.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni a ní ẹ lọ sí àwọn ìbòmí tó bá wà important.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni a ní ìdòwò láti ṣe so many things tá a fẹ́ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
káwọn èèyàn lè wà ẹgbẹ́ ẹ̀ dáadáa. ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀gbọ́n kò sí pé ẹ fún wa lówó ká tó jáde abẹ́lọ́ tó tó nígbà tó àwọn kó máa jáde fún ara wọn. Débi ṣe máa ń rí nìyí. Ní kíkà máa ń jọ kí a máa pè ní. Gbogbo tó ti sọ ọdún òbílí ìgbìmọ̀ Nàìjíríà gbogbo tó ń ṣe ìgbọ́dọ̀ tí ń tẹ̀ mọ́ ibi tó ṣe padà bọ̀ jẹ́.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni. Kódà ní happening now Delta State gbogbo ẹ̀ ń gbóná. Bàbá Fádéré tó ń tọ̀ láti pè ọ̀kẹ́ jẹ́ ń pè yín because normally studio number lẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́ bá wa pè. Bọ̀ mo rí pé nọ́mbà 10 pé kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ tí kò wá lọ gbogbo ẹni tó bá fẹ́ join ẹ má bínú ẹ rí pé mo ti migrate kúrò ní orí mo fẹ́ move everybody wá sí software and we only have 12 minutes ká lè join ní Star Radio ẹ jẹ́ ká máa gbọ́ bàbá wa Fálànà lọ again there's a lot going on in Nigeria is really under stress ẹ jẹ́ gbọ́ bàbá wa Fálànà. Mo ń try láti pè yín padà bàbá Fádéré ẹ̀jẹ̀ ń pè yín direct.
In view of the worsening insecurity in the country, in no state of the Federation of Abuja, it is fair that the country may break up
or
engage in a full-scale war and only Labour and other progressive forces
ẹ̀gbọ́n tí
indigenous strength that were witnessing the country.
Oh, sorry. No nation will survive two civil wars. Tá bá lọ sí civil war nísìnyí, kò sí bí Nigerian government, kò sí bí Nigerian government, kò sí bí Nigeria ti fi survive ẹ̀. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ti ń darapọ̀ mọ́ lórí software, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń wò mí, ẹ máa move díẹ̀díẹ̀ lọ sínú software so that kí mo ti ń pè yín bàbá wa ẹ gbé call and one tẹ́ fi ń pè mí ẹ̀ ó ń break program tá à ń ṣe, so let me bring this back on. We have another call coming through because tá bá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ lórí software nísìnyí a máa ní spare mobile phone torí à ní spare mobile phone náà ni àdèmọ̀ pé ìgbà ní àmọ̀ pé program máa pẹ́ báyìí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ṣe ń pè wá ẹ fún mi ní few minutes gbogbo yín náà la fẹ́ kẹ́ pè wọlé ẹ̀yin lẹ́lẹ̀ tó iṣẹ́ tèmi ni pé kí n gbé wá bá yín ká dẹ̀jọ́ gbé yẹ̀wò a lè agree ká disagree àtayébáyé nìyẹn. I don't expect everybody to agree with Koiki Media. Koiki I dey like ẹ nígbà kan. No. Ẹ ní láti like mi o. N tí mo gbé dání, n tí ó kan gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Bàbá mi mo ti pè yín gbé kọ́. So ẹ ló kọ́ láì bá a ṣe ní kíákíá.
Ẹ káàárọ̀.
À ń gbọ́ yín sà.
Ṣé kí orúkọ tó ń lọ yìí bí a bá tẹ̀lé ìpàdé tó àtàrí
kí lẹ ní Nàìjíríà ti ṣe ìkẹ́? Okay, ó fẹ́ explode. So we're going to start migrating a more sórí software.
Tó bá dẹ̀ wẹ̀ pé that ẹni tó bá ti yẹ tó wà ní gáàdì papọ̀.
Okay.
Because now ṣé n tó bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ yìí thanks.
Hold on, ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Samuel kí kọ́lá ìṣetán kẹ́ tó sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ à ń gbọ́ ẹni because àwọn tó wà lédè fún wa ní mọ́ ọ̀bẹ ẹni ẹ dé bank. Dúró kò ń ṣàyẹn ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Samuel ní wípé ẹni tó ń bá a sọ̀rọ̀ láti ẹ̀kọ́ nìyẹn hold on síbẹ̀. So ẹ má dárúkọ àdúgbò yẹn but ẹ lè dárúkọ bank tẹ rí but ẹ má dárúkọ àdúgbò yín. Bank wo lẹ lọ because a kò fi ní fíl àwọn òsínlé because àwọn èèyàn lè sọ pé bí à ń parọ́ ni bank wo lẹ lọ.
Lẹ́mi fún yẹ kí ní VI
okay ní VI ládùúgbò VI àdúgbò olówó lẹ wà yẹn kẹ. So gbogbo àwọn tó wà lọ́nà VI náà wọ́n ò rówó gbà lẹ́ ń sọ fún wa yìí. Wàhálà wà wàhálà ti dé Nàìjíríà o.
So it's about to explode. So now, to explode, nobody can gather it together. So
explode, nobody can gather.
That's why I'm thanking the person in the villa. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Smith Aba adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀.
Ẹni sùúrù bí akẹ́yìn àti ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dájọ́ wà ní UK àwọn wà ní UK wà ní ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ẹni tó ń pè ó náà ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Buhari wọ́n náà ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ kílẹ̀ náà rí sí yẹn ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ní UK ẹ bá wa dá sí ẹni tó wà ní Nàìjíríà ẹ má ti lọ ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ní UK ẹni tó wà ní Nàìjíríà ní àwọn dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Buhari kílẹ̀ rí sí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ní UK.
Ó dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Buhari torí pé ó kó wa sínú wàhálà. Wàhálà gidi ní kókó ẹ̀fà kéèyàn bá sọ pé ọba yẹn jẹ́.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni dádì.
Àwọn tó ṣáájú ẹ̀ ọba yẹn jẹ́ gidi ní ó kó gbogbo orílẹ̀-èdè 200 and something million people ó kó wọn sínú wàhálà. Ó kó wọn sínú ebi. Ó kó wọn sínú ìdààmú. Ó kó wọn sínú ìgbèsè.
Kábíyèsí Elédùmarè.
Ẹ wá sọ pé kí ló ṣe tó bá jẹ́ orílẹ̀-èdè tí tọ́jà ti dunlẹ̀ ní ṣé bóyá kán ti lé kúrò lórí oyè.
Kódà ẹni sùúrù ẹyẹ kájẹ Scotland.
Eléyìí lé o kó tó di àsìkò yìí náà ńkọ́ kí ni wọ́n ṣe. Ìkejì tí mo fẹ́ sọ ni wípé ó dàbẹ̀ ní pé ogun yẹn ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ o.
Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Koiki ní ìdúrà ẹ bá máa create lọ sí software a máa end the way náà sí.
Yorùbá nation.
A máa end it.
Nǹkan tó ń ṣe kí ọlọ́pàá mo láìkí program tó ṣe lánàá yẹn Olúwa túbọ̀ máa fún ẹ ní ọgbọ́n àti òye.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni dáàdì.
Ṣùgbọ́n èmi expect wípé kí àwọn àgbààgbà kán dìde kán dẹ̀ kán káńtà nǹkan tí ọ̀gá ọlọ́pàá sọ. Kán kọ̀wé sínú punch. Àwọn èèyàn náà rí. Kò sẹ́ni tó àmàsí
weapon bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Ìjà òmìnira là ń jà. Ẹni tó bá ìjà òmìnira kì í gbébọn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Kì í gbé àdá. Ìjà àlàáfíà là ń jà. Pé ká lè bọyọ kúrò ní inú ìgbèkùn. Tí àwọn Fúlàní tí àwọn Haúsá tó ń gbé wá sí ìgbèkùn gidi ní. Ṣé wọ́n ní wọ́n sọ pé wọ́n máa mú Kùránì ìlú òkun. Ìbò náà ni Dangote ti ṣe yẹn. Ó ti kọ́ pátì sí ẹgbẹ́ òkun. Wọ́n ti mú kọ́ nìyẹn. Àwọn Yorùbá gbọ́dọ̀ dìde.
A gbọ́dọ̀ dìde.
Wàhálà ẹ̀ tí ó ti dé. A gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni dáàdì mi.
Pẹ̀lú àlàáfíà.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni sà.
Bàbá ẹni kankan jà o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ẹ ṣé gan ni dáàdì. Because I need 6 minutes.
A gbọ́dọ̀ múra sí.
Ẹ̀rọ àmúlò lọ sí YouTube. Ẹ ṣé gan ni.
Buhari sọ níjọ́ kìíní.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sà.
Ó ní kí àwọn lọ́balọ́ba ó ní tó máa ti gbà kí Yorùbá kúrò náà tó máa kúrò ó ti mọ̀ pé òun máa lọ gbé àpò owó fún ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan wọn. Wọn kú púpọ̀. Wọ́n ti gbé àpò owó ṣakaṣaka dé. Ó parí nìyẹn. Wọ́n lè ṣẹ̀nu mìíràn. Nǹkan tó fi dá sí nìyẹn. So
wàhálà wà. Ẹ ṣé gan ni.
Ìjà ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè. Ìdẹ̀ṣe pé àní nǹkan tá ọrọ̀ ajé wà. Àwọn táwọn lókè òkun àwọn là ń borí fa.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni dáàdì torí àsìkò ni a máa join studio a dẹ̀ ní just 5 minutes. Ẹ ṣé gan ni dáàdì wa thank you so much. A máa rí yín bá ní gbogbo ìgbà. Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ kí àgbáyé tó dalẹ̀ fún gbogbo wa pátápátá ẹ̀jẹ̀rẹ̀ wa gbogbo wa ẹ̀rẹ̀jẹ̀rẹ̀ àwọn ọmọ yín náà thank you so much. Kọ́là wa èyí lè máa jẹ́ the last call. Ẹ bá wa wrap up ní tí ẹ fẹ́ sọ kó tó di pé a máa lọ join Star Radio gbogbo ẹni tí a wà lórí YouTube ẹ lọ join software a máa end the lay thank you so much. Ẹ má yẹ kó wá pẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ mo ní láti dìde nísìnyí ẹ má yẹ kó pẹ́ rárá à ń gbọ́ yín sà.
Wọ́n ní Buhari kó orílẹ̀-èdè àwọn àti ọ̀rẹ́ mi lò. Àti orílẹ̀-èdè kan náà. Kí ni orílẹ̀-èdè? Èdè kan, àṣà kan, ìwà kan. Owó ìdákẹ́jẹ́ orílẹ̀-èdè tó ká máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìfúnfẹ́ orílẹ̀-èdè lọ́tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀. So that is our own home. We are not the same.
We are not the same. Thank you so much. Ẹ ṣé gan ni thank you so much and we appreciate. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹni tí ó ti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní àárọ̀ ẹ̀ a máa pa wifi yẹn mo try láti pè yín padà bàbá Fádéré mo mọ reason tí kò ṣe lọ máa try one more time tó bá lọ ẹ̀kọ́ bá sọ̀rọ̀ ní 1 minute mo ní láti join ní Archie mo ti wọ̀n stand ẹ̀ ń pẹ́ ní Wednesday so mo ní tábà tún ṣe tán àkọ́ sọ̀rọ̀ briefly then I end the broadcast yẹn mọ̀ pé mo ṣe ń padà bọ̀ nírọ̀lẹ́ lórí Naija Voices ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tẹ̀ náà ò láìkó orúkọ burúkú yẹn mọ́ ẹ ṣe sùúrù gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ló máa ní amendment later but for now I say thank you so much ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Instagram a máa adjust the phone tá à ń lò yìí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Mixlr mo máa láti fẹ́ end delay kí n lè start lórí the other system so because bẹ́ẹ̀ mi ìṣe rí comment yín kà kò tẹ́ mi lọ́rùn even though mo mọ̀ pé wà níbẹ̀ látàárọ̀ so ẹ jẹ́ ká end delay ká wá lọ start me. And on that note, while we are doing all this, a kò lè máa show background àwọn kan tó ń lọ ní in terms of the protest kó tó di pa máa join ní Archie. So maybe I should just give you some of the views ní background. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Instagram, a máa adjust yẹn náà. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn back end team wa. So let me bring this to our screen quickly because I only have 3 minutes to join Star Radio. It's always like that sometimes, but this is the nature of what we do. This is what I love to do. So doing this for me is just like bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ṣe ń lọ síbi iṣẹ́ láàárọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà lórí lọ́dọ̀ tèmi náà. So even sometimes people say Koiki aṣọ òun sùn ṣá. Yes, I do take enough sleep. Bá a ṣe parí program tó lánàá èmi náà ti wọ bed. So gbogbo tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ òun lẹ̀ ń wò yìí. Ìlú eléyìí ní Ondo State. So ẹ̀yin ò tí lè rẹ́ anything. Let me end this and let's start the Mixlr here quickly. Once again, mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá. So Ondo State ni à ń wò lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísàlẹ̀ yẹn. Ó ti di dandan pé kí ìran Yorùbá bọ́ kúrò nínú wàhálà tá a wà nù ẹ̀ torí pé wàhálà ni. Also Sango ó dà pé wàhálà tó tún bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní Sango eléyìí ní Ìbàdàn eléyìí tẹ̀ ń wò yìí.
junction, so people cannot go to their work.
Wàhálà ń bọ̀ sọ fún yín ẹni Koiki ló fẹ́ dọ́gunlẹ̀ bí èmi ní nǹkan ogun tí mo fẹ́ fi bá federal government jà. Ṣé èmi ní CBN governor ọ̀rọ̀ wọ́ kìkẹ́ ẹ má bínú ìyẹn wa mo ní láti sáré píkì mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí and welcome to the program. Ọ̀rọ̀ wọ́ kìkẹ́ kò sí nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ wọ́ọ̀kì. So I'm going to end this and we're going to start again in just a few minutes. So as we are about to join Starr Radio, we appreciate every one of you that have been with us látàárọ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fìyè sílẹ̀ àti ìjọyìn àdéjì. It's another one. Eléyìí ni òkè Àbújá lánàá leléyìí. Outbreak at Reno filling station. Kákọ̀ máa gbọ́ Ìgbòho ṣàlọ tá a máa fi padà wá. Ó kúkú ti sọ ó ní Nàìjíríà ò gbádùn kò sẹ́ni tó believe ẹ̀. Mò ń padà bọ̀.
Ọmọ Ìbàràpá lápapọ̀ ẹ̀jẹ̀ adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àkí ọmọ Yorùbá lápapọ̀ tìlé tó kó ẹ̀mí àbọ̀ ẹ̀bá nǹkan mọ Adéyẹmọ. Chief Sunday Adéyẹmọ Ìgbòho orúkọ ńlá tí ń jámọ̀ láyà bí àrá orúkọ tó ń dẹrù bo lórúkọ gan-an. Ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ má sùn o torí pé bùrà a kò lè fojú kégbodò láyé títa ríro lẹ̀dá ń kọlà wúrà tó máa dán alànà kọjá dandan o. Ọ̀wọ́n irin ní má bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ̀nà ẹ̀dá kan ò lè ṣì wá lọ́nà mọ́ ẹjẹ́ àfìmọ̀ṣọ̀ kan ká lè débi re ẹjẹ́ àjọ gbárùkù ti Sunday Ìgbòho ṣá ọmọ Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ nílùú Alágbàdo Òde ọmọ atapẹ̀tẹ̀ wọnú omi ọmọ gègèlè wodò sànyà ìsànyà ò rẹ́ràn bàbá yín láàrin ìdí omi kò sì náà ń kán sí yín lẹ́nu ọmọ òkúta mẹ́ta òkè Ìgbòho ìkan ṣe yín ní dábọ̀dàbọ̀ ìkan ní mọ́ rọra ìkan tó kù nígbà tí wọ́n ò mọ̀ Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ kí ló dé Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ sí ọmọ òpópó sanran ìgbàgede Ìgbòho sùn wọn láláìsí bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọ́n ní kó ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ ó máa kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ ẹ̀sìn òní bímọ méjì ní Ìgbòho mọ̀rẹ́ bẹ́sìn bá bímọ méjì ní Ìgbòho àfikàn pọ̀pọ̀ sí amúkan yòókù bọ̀ sànyà àtúmúyà rẹ̀ tí ò lọ́rọ̀ gbọ́ àfiṣẹ́rù wálé wàrà mòjé ọmọ onílé ọ̀la àwọn àjòjì tó ń ṣe ségesège tọ́láwọn ò ní bomi kó sí mu wọ́n láwọn ò ní bomi sànyà wẹ́sẹ̀ ìgbà tójú kò fi rí ń kọ́ gbogbo wọn náà sáré bomi kó sí mu wọ́n sì bomi sànyà wẹ́sẹ̀ ọmọ abẹ́rẹ́ mẹ́ta òde ayé ọ̀kan ṣẹ́ ọ̀kan tẹ̀ ọ̀kan tó kù ní gbogbo ayé fi ránṣọ kiri gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá Sunday Ìgbòho onírèlẹ̀ láéláé torí àbá lásán nìkan ń dá òkúta ò ṣe gbé fún wọn o ìmọ̀ràn lásán ni ti balùwẹ̀ kò pọ́sibú kó dòdò láyé ń bí ó kún díẹ̀ kí tọ́ domi láéláyé ìtọ́ mi lè domi. Sunday Ìgbòho arógun má ti dí tó ń jà fẹ́tọ̀ Yorùbá ní tilé tó kó. Ọmọ Ìbàràpá lápapọ̀ ẹ̀jẹ̀ adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àkí ọmọ.
Ká join the Archie. Mo kí gbogbo wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí as we are looking at all the activities happening in Nigeria. Very, very distressing, very sad, but ẹ má bínú ìta ọ̀ndà ẹ̀rí images ọ̀jáde. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. Now let me join media team back in the studio. Once again, a very, very good afternoon and welcome. Orúkọ tèmi ni Olayomi Koiki, 6 minutes more. Ọjọ́ ń pẹ́ rárá, Mama Jaka ọjọ́ burúkú ni. No retreat, no surrender. Nàìjíríà gbọ́dọ̀ dàwó, kò sọgbọ́n ẹ̀. Nàìjíríà ti wà under distress.
So, for our situation pertaining to the faith of the when it comes to action. But it is already the one section of the morning show. I can tell you, I would God the life for a decade, so we're going to be coming straight to our Northland studios to have it from Nigeria. As I said, don't you worry, I'll be our press conference that is going to be coming away from Scotland, Edinburgh this morning. Okay, so let's see. Let's say good morning to you, Yummy.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to all our presenters and all our listeners from around the globe. And welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Starr Radio UK Morning Show.
Yes, how are you doing and how is the family at work?
Well, it is still the holiday period, so that means the family are doing very well. But they've actually all gone out, and we are just, managing the situation. Because sometimes we want to push them to the schools, but sometimes as well they just want to be at home, with the family. But their family are doing very great. We give praise to Almighty God.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much for that. Now, let's talk about what is happening in Scotland, and because I want to link it up with what is happening in Nigeria when it comes to those who are agitating to break away from Nigeria. I will take an example of Nicola Selden and Alex Salmon, who were pushing for an agenda to get Scotland out of the Union. And they tried to wait for the election. They lost the referendum. Okay, so after that, but we know that they were trying to put it together to still fight on. However, they say that because Nicola Selden sees the whole situation as unsurmountable, that is why she is backing down and will not make agreements. Also, those of people in the southwest and those of people in the southeast and the middle of them think that look at Nicola Selden, look at how strong, look at even how prominent and how powerful the economy of Scotland is. Yet somebody who was fighting for a force like this have made eventually lay her tools down. Okay, so we think along those sides, or they think that no, it's a different ballgame. Let's go on with what we are doing.
Well, you're quite right. Scotland has been, trying to also come out of the union that they've had, with Great Britain. And it seems that our mind works together. And I'm just going to pull out quickly, what we were discussing up to yesterday regarding whether to be part of what is known as Scotland or as an independent country is better than being part of Great Britain. So in just about a few minutes, we might have, a background, that the engineer is working on. And as we know, and yet it goes, and what you have there is actually what it means. The true cost of the union. Is it better to be with this union that is costing you £4,279 a year, or with the total control of your natural resources through independent, your energy bill will be 451. It's just so clear. And this is, says again, Westminster doesn't work for Scotland. Power to Scotland through independent means cheaper energy bills for the Scottish people. Just as the Yoruba and the Biafra are saying that a new union without Nigeria will give us, our real identity. And let me quickly give you, we had a program run this morning before joining, the studio, and 28 advantage of having your own independent country. according to those that were putting out the comment. And quickly, because of our time. Number one, identity. Number two, a better life. Number three, culture and language. Number four, good judiciary that we're going to be discussing on, because the Supreme Court is saying they've now adjourned, the case between some of the governors. But do you know that the governor of Central Bank refused to abide by the rules that the Central Bank should hold on until there's a new, order from the CBN? But it seems that Emefiele is just running his own. So people are saying that we do not have a good judiciary. We are suffering. As we speak today, in this headline coming up, there is a lot of protest that has now spring up in almost every part of Nigeria today. Good social service, human rights, indigenous Yorubas to have future for the generation to come, effective educational structure. 8 months, almost every Nigerian, regardless of your tribe, could not attend a good education because the university were completely shut down. Control over our borders. Today, we know that the borders is so porous that if you're traveling from one end to the other, you are likely to face consequence of that. Even those that are traveling into the country. I had one of our followers is in Nigeria right now, changing their ticket, making their way back because the current situation on the ground. But what about the millions of Yorubas and the Igbos, the Hausas, and the other ethnic groups? Where did they run to? Somebody talked about the health insurance, security and transport, no freedom of speech, Yoruba race glory, one language, free health services, free education, good agricultural, fire brigade, which is part of the social services, control of those foreign religion. A lot of people believe that the religion has literally done so much damage to the psyche of many Nigerians. And also, library services, our history, policy, and the last one is Yoruba Nation is a lifetime ambition. Starr Radio UK, 30 minutes past, and this is part of what we're going to be discussing later on. Advantage of having an independent country or keeping the same country and work with it to build it together.
Wow, listeners, interesting goes out there, and the topic that we're going to look at this evening, this evening to find an interesting one. But so, if the Supreme Court decides not to be, the Supreme Court has given a ruling earlier on before even these governors put their eventually appeal to the Supreme Court that they should stop the final day of the exchange of the old Naira notes. And which one of them the federal government was going to adhere to it? Apparently, the federal government failed to adhere to it. And now, the court has again the case where that this private government might have brought against the federal government and the CBN. So, what is the federal government saying that you adhere to the ruling of the Supreme Court? What ruling are they expecting the Supreme Court to rule again, apart from what have been told them earlier on?
Well, the bank are not even, listening. I mean, the government of the day, President Muhammadu Buhari, Central Bank will decide whether to obey the Supreme Court order today. That order have now been adjourned to the 22nd, which is 7 days from today. The Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing that was filed by Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara. More states are filing the same thing as well. So that means that we would have to wait again for the next 7 days to see what is going to happen. But the order that was meant to be inactive is currently not active because the banks are rejecting the Naira note. I'm talking about the old Naira note. And the reason for that is because the CBN, according to a caller this morning, that the son-in-law works in the bank, have literally issued a memo that no bank should be taking the old Naira note, even though there's a judgment that is still waiting. And that judgment has not come whether that should be done or not. So the question is, who actually listened to the rule of law? Is it the CBN or is it the law for one part of the country or the other? So there is a lot of chaotic situation that is currently present in Nigeria today. So the president says the position of the government and the CBN will be known upon the determination of the suit coming up, which was meant to be today, but that has been adjourned. But why then is the government not telling CBN that since there's a judgment going on, we must allow Nigerians to continue to spend, the old Naira notes until the ruling comes back or disagree with it. But as we speak right now, more Nigerians have got the old Naira note. Their bank refused to take it. The petrol station refused to take it. The market traders refused to take it. Even though states like Kano State have also said that people must continue to spend that Naira note until further notice. And this is now become more pressure. All the callers from Nigeria today, during the program that we had at the early hours of this morning, have told me that they can't have access to the new Naira note, and the old Naira note is not accepted, and that is why there is all protest let loose in Nigeria. And as I speak to you right now, 5 different states are currently on protest. One bank has been burnt down in Delta State, Access Bank as is known.
But listen, as it's already quite a worrying time there. But let me acknowledge, IGBOHO John. Good morning, is already today. Good morning, Mr. Koiki. And some today, good morning to you. I say, God bless you. Revelation 1. Okay. But, what was the initial ruling of the Supreme Court? What did they say? What are some of the details that they said?
Well, initially was that the currency must be put on hold. That means you are still allowed to use the old Naira note, which is the one behind me. But that is not what is happening in reality. I mean, the ruling says that nobody should be refused from spending the old Naira note. The banks must continue to accept it. But as I speak to you today, Wednesday 15th, the banks are not taking it. And the reason for that is the communique that is coming from the CBN is actually saying that no banks should accept the old Naira note, even though the Supreme Court have agreed that people can spend it until the ruling comes back to say no or yes. So this is what is creating the more chaos, where in Sambo yesterday, we saw the protest. But as of today, a bank has been burnt down in Delta State, more protests in Oyo State, more protests in other states as well. And the real reason is commercial activities have been grounded because of the scarcity of the new Naira note.
Well, particularly in Nigeria, listening to us, how many days more? In 10 days. The election would have held, will be holding now in the 25th, and the election should go on. However, the American has won the president, the Yoruba political this is a very again, call the president, General Muhammad Buhari, to resist any conditional pressure on Nigeria, any form of change of government that is not a product of democratic process. Now, we talked about the fact that was it on Monday when one person was alluding that Archie was having some meeting with some
and he has actually come out to say, well, we believe that he has been under a lot of interrogation from the DSS, that is Femi Kayode. He has actually come out to say he's apologizing for putting such statement outside there, but definitely we do know that the DSS must have said some few things that he has to come out and bow. But yes, that's the leader of the Afenifere. It is the Yoruba Social Cultural Group. They have not endorsed Bola Tinubu. They have endorsed Peter Obi of the Labour Party. But a headline is coming back this morning. Remember that this elder statement said some few days ago that should Peter Obi not become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in this election, I mean, people have to vote. So, but they are probably saying that if he doesn't become the president, then forget about the united Nigeria and how will be the crisis that we should be expecting. But the headline this morning also says, resist interim government temptation. Remember that we have been saying that there's probability of coup. If I take you back to Niger Voices that we did, the few weeks ago, and we actually went through all these conversations, and those were that was the first month of February. On the 1st of February, let me give you what I said, and it seems that minds are working with some of our elder statements based on the intelligence that we are getting. I've listed 5 reasons why election might be on hold as things are as it is right now. There's probability of a coup. That was even before Femi Kayode told us that Atiku is meeting with the military while election is about 12 days. I talked about 774 local government, 550 of such might not hold a proper election because of the insecurity. Yesterday, we saw INEC, and 2 days ago telling us that 240 polling units in 28 states are not likely to conduct election. because of the insecurity. We talked about the identity. The identity is what Afenifere is saying, that should we want to have peace, let us allow the Igbo to become the next president, and that will bring a united Nigeria, but that doesn't seem to be working. And this is what I said at number 4. Interim government. We saw the same thing during Babangida. As Babangida was stepping aside, he kept Shoneko there, and Shoneko became the Fidihe, as the Yoruba will say, the interim government. Are we now seeing another interim government put in place as Buhari tenure is almost elapsing because of everything that is happening? Could the military be taking over Nigeria because of this crisis that they created in the first place by the government? The Pan-Yoruba Social Political Organization, Afenifere, has again called on President Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, to resist any temptation or pressure to foster on Nigeria any form of change of government that is not a product of democratic practice. Could we be saying that the same thing I said on the 1st of February is about to take place when we were having Naija Voice? Tonight is going to be another fantastic event. We don't have enough time this morning, but we have the ample of 2.5 hours to discuss the way forward as Nigeria goes to poll. I'll come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK, you cannot get any of this anywhere except for Starr Radio UK. And as Yomi said, this article, this evening, is happening at 18 hours GMT. That is Nigeria in the GMT platform. Yes, that program will be coming your way. Niger Voices, and we'll have ample time to look into all the details of that story. But let's go back to Yomi once again. Now, are the campaign going on at the moment? Are the campaign?
Well, the campaign is actually winding down, and behind us are the, all the political gladiator for this upcoming election, which is coming up in the next 12 days, should everything goes as planned. We have Kwankwaso there, we have Tinubu there, we have Atiku, Peter Obi, even though Sowore has been missing, but we know that Sowore is still contesting as well. Campaign is winding down, and the reason for that is, campaign also has a timeline before the election. So everybody is now finishing up with their campaign in all their states, and all they are doing now is stakeholder conversation, and that is still bringing a lot of pressure on the table, as we know this morning. So if anybody, is still doing any campaign, that is currently being wound down as we speak right now. So let me just give us some of the quick headline coming from the election 2023. Election, Nigeria must protect democracy, says group. Resist temptation, resist interim government, temptation, Afenifere tells Buhari. Election, NEF raises concerns over violence in the southeast. And we're going to talk a bit of Simon Ekpa, because it looks like the Nigerian government is becoming more concerned that they've now called the attention of the Finnish embassy to speak, the Finnish ambassador in an engagement to, Simon Ekpa issuing statement from Finland that, election is not going to hold. But from the ambassador conversation, he's also saying that as much as they've got 60 years of relationship with Nigeria, Simon Ekpa also has a right, because under the human right, he has the right, but they will look into according to their own law. And as you can tell, Simon Ekpa, was also responding back, to that statement, since yesterday, and which we're going to bring up in just about a few minutes as well. But going back again, U-turn, INEC to keep sensitive election materials with the CBN. Election, no reason to doubt INEC, says NEF spokesman. So as they say, Gary don't pass water, as a lot of people are looking up to what will be the outcome in the next 12 days to this election. And as I said earlier, Simon Ekpa actually responded back, to what, the Nigerian government calling the foreign, minister, calling on to the ambassador yesterday in Abuja. And he also says, we call the attention of the international observer coming to Nigeria to observe their fraud that Biafra is not and will not be part of Nigeria election. For almost 2 years, Biafra has continued to pass vote of no confidence on those representing Nigeria presently in Biafra. So you can see that there's still a lot of engagement going on. And as I said, we'll have to wait in the next few more days to see what takes place. Starr Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio as 2023 general election is getting more closer and it's becoming more interesting as there's more pressure in the country.
Well, listeners, with everything that is going on in Nigeria at the moment, when you want to go to the polls to go and vote on the 25th of February, are you going to believe that? Somebody will say, I'm thinking about it. Somebody will say that Gary Fast Water, go now, it's all country. You cannot go nowhere. And what is it about that? Coming away from Starr. So, life question, I'm not my listeners, I'm actually here. The South Sea, so we have been order in it. No. All right then. One other story now on Simon Ekpa. Remember, he put a bounty. I don't know whether it's the federal government that put a bounty.
It's not the federal government. It's just another social cultural group in the southeast that does that, not the federal government.
Okay. I apologize. It's not the federal government that put a bounty on him. Another social cultural group. Now, what was the cause of that? Maybe he's not thinking from the same issue like that. That's why they've been thinking that way.
Well, there's a lot of fraction, just as we have it in the Yoruba nation movement, where, the illusion that, Yoruba people have got a country, even though Professor Adebanji Akintoye have said there's no country yet, we are still, dialoguing, we are still engaging, and everything that will give us, our own, freedom from Nigeria. And we have the same thing happening within the Biafrans, where, some disagree, with the views and the manners of, what they call the autopilot. The autopilot, are the ones that are controlling most of the, narrative, and that also is against those that are the doors. So there's two fractions, but there's also different internal wrangling within, the Southeast as well, that disagree that, it is the chance of Peter Obi, the Igbo from Southeast, to be endorsed by all the Biafrans. Some have actually followed Peter Obi, but the majority disagree. And just like Simon Ekpa said, that for 2 years, they've had both of no confidence to their representative in Nigeria.
Well, listen, let's start already. Okay, before I go to Yomi for the rest of the story that he had, some questions coming through. Atiku has said that for the second time yesterday, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has stated that he remains the stepping stone to people achieving their dream of producing president of Nigeria, insisting that his party was going to win the 2023 general election. So when he win the election, then he does go very well for one term, and then the vice president who knows from the South would have to put in the place to be out.
When you're looking for power, you put everything out there, you put whatever, even you can say, if you want to have my mom to stay with you for 3 weeks, I can give you my mom. This is the time that politics becomes whatever it is in that part of the world where everything is sold out. And as I said, Atiku have said such. I don't think people like Wike believes him, because Wike says Atiku has been a man that goes around different skirts. He hasn't been stable in PDP, and Wike believes that he hasn't left the party and he should have been given that opportunity. But Atiku believes that allow me to run. Probably maybe the first time and I will give over, but maybe after the first time, he might say, let me complete the second time, but I will make sure that Igbo becomes the next president as well. Also, there's from the Yoruba side, Femi Gbajabiamila, also says Naira scarcity created to stop Tinubu from winning presidential election. Buhari CBN with this. So it seems that, within the political parties, especially the major ones, they are blaming each other to say that, the reason that the support is not coming is because somebody within the government has changed the color of the naira, and is becoming more pressure to Nigerians, which is not a funny situation, because especially those that are in dear need. I was speaking to one of my mom friends that just returned from Nigeria. She could not get her money out of the bank before she left Nigeria.
So I when you're in Nigeria, I remember back in the day, I think 2 months ago, they did say that when money is sent to you, so I think you make money from somebody, are they able to take it in pounds or not? No,
you'll have to. Well, I mean, the bank doesn't have the dollar, so it's easier that we are told that when you send out money, you get it in dollar. You will not be able to get it in dollar. You will be getting it in naira, and if you need a dollar, you will have to go to the black market to change it.
Wow. That is for your ears only. But it is now 11:30. Let's go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories. Go back to you, Yomi.
Just briefly, because of our time constraint this morning, once again, this is Starr Radio UK, and it is the finest African. Gridlock again as tanker crash on Alaka Bridge. I've seen that images, and again, the question is, what more can be done, to avoid this kind of accident happening on the broad daylight? And, right there you can see, I mean, these are heavy loaded 40-foot container. And if these have actually fallen on top of a vehicle that is also next to it, you can imagine we'll be talking about another death happening in Nigeria this particular day. So we keep, continue to monitor that as we speak. Content, EFCC kick as CSO demand Bauer's removal. The head of the EFCC, has been having a lot of issues, with the Nigerian security. Over 120 anti-corruption civil society organizations have now called for the removal of the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdulrasheed Bauer, for what the term is alleged politicization of the agency, disobedience of the court orders, infringement on human rights on Nigerians. And again, if I go back to what we were discussing this morning, I think I can always give you human right was number 7. Contempt of the disobey of the court order, and that is number 4. No good judiciary, and I think the last one is also the politicization, and that shows that the nepotism. The CSO in the petition on Tuesday demanded that the EFCC chairman must now be sacked. There have been series of protests rallied by the CSO calling for Bauer removal. As the EFCC elsewhere, the CSO had demanded a Bauer to be sent to prison for contempt of court. I'm not sure that is going to happen because, again, it's got the backing of the presidency. Christian youth march against electoral violence in Imo State. Imo has been a very, very tough one in the last, a few months, and also Anambra State. Soludo is doing, what he can do also to get Nnamdi Kanu out of the custody of the presidency of the federal government. But we are not sure whether that is going to work anytime soon. So let us look at some of what is trending quickly on the social media. But tonight at Naija Voices, we will have ample of time to discuss again, Nigeria election, the way forward, and the indigenous people as well. So once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Like I said, a lot of protest is happening from Ibadan. Federal government and the CBN is trending. Also, my 12, which is where this container has actually dropped, is also trending as we speak right now. The Road Transport Union, assisted by some protesters, have blocked Sango Eleyele Road in Ibadan, preventing movement along the axis. Their agitation is about the scarcity of the cash and the old note ceasing to be a legal tender. So quite a lot is happening. Also, we know, there's also any other part as well that is also having a lot of problems. So let us now take a look at, Nigeria as a whole, this morning as we continue to look into all the situation. Again, Simon Ekpa, you would talk Biafra by force. We told you people that when the time comes, you'll be forced to report about the Biafra freedom. Whether you like it or not, you don't have the choice. The Biafra exit will become a reality after this month. Also, I'm just looking at the Benjamin Odoye is, the spokesman for the Lagos State, is actually saying RIP to independent thinker, head mentality everywhere. And also, it seems that people are saying Dr. Shola Shugbamu is saying Nicolas Sojon is resigning. What the hell is happening? And it seems that there's quite a lot happening. We saw, was it the Australian Prime Minister that also resigned? She resigned. New Zealand, sorry, that resigned some few weeks ago as well. And the last one coming on the headline as well from here, Bashegun is also one of the leader of the Yoruba nation right here in UK, and also the leader of the Ilana Omoodua UK. He actually posted some few posts as he does all the time. He has a letter that he has already put out on the change.org, to the UK Parliament. Yoruba, by being the oldest civilization in the world, deserves an independent nation status. And he's asking people to sign that petition as well. He also said yesterday, according to him, Article 4 of the United Nations Charter contains rules of admission for United Nations membership. The only requirement is the judgment of the organization. An applicant will be admitted if the Security Council and the General Assembly was convinced it ought to be admitted. Up to us to convince them. And it's actually talking to the Yoruba people. And the last one is, when Britain created Nigeria in 1914, it gave its reasons for doing so. Britain said that it created Nigeria for the purpose of relieving the British taxpayers of the financial burden of the northern Nigeria. When Nigerian ruling class took over on the 1st of October 1960, they gave no reason for Nigeria's continual existence. Their position was, and it still is, that Britain created a good thing that must not be tampered with. We Yoruba people disagree. We Yoruba were not asked by the British in 1914 whether we wanted to be part of Nigeria in 1960. And since Nigeria's ruling class has not asked us whether we wish to remain a part of Nigeria, we say today clearly and loudly, we do not want to continue to be part of Nigeria. Starr Radio UK. It is the finest African and the Caribbean radio station in London.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, the updates from Nigeria. And we're going to be writing up the conversation because of time. But Yomi, what did you say we are looking at this evening once again?
So we again continue to look at the way forward out of Nigeria. Is it going to be election that will give us the peace, or is it going to be the dissolution of Nigeria? So way forward out of Nigeria is the conversation tonight. Way forward, the way forward out of Nigeria. Since election is coming, some people believe that election will still give us the peace and hope. Some say, just as Biafra, that nobody asked us whether we want to be part of the British, for the creation of Nigeria in 1914. So we will have to look into all these later on.
Okay, Yomi, let me say thank you very, very much for another wonderful update from there.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to 11:38. Let's take a quick commercial break. We come back and we continue with the program because we have perfect time. And as I said earlier on, I will bring you.
Wow. Ànàrí jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ẹ̀yin tèmi mo kí ìyàwó Tóyìn ẹ káàbọ̀ mo mi lórí Instagram alájà mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí Instagram pẹ̀lú mi ní àárọ̀ yìí èmi ọmọ yín náà ni olólùfẹ́ yín koikimedia as we are also gonna be winding down because a ti ṣe a long program mo dẹ̀ ní láti take a short break so that ká lè ní ample of time àti enough rest later nírọ̀lẹ́. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ọlẹ́ǹkan sí let us let us all be grateful pẹ̀lú so many things tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní Nàìjíríà. Nàìjíríà ó ti lanà báyìí. Ta ló gbà pé Nàìjíríà ti lanà báyìí? Nàìjíríà ti lanà láì ó ti lanà kò dẹ̀ likely pé Nàìjíríà máa survive ẹ̀. So gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń sọ pé Nàìjíríà máa survive ẹ̀ irọ́ lẹ pa. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó wà survive, kò ní survive láyé. Ó gbọ́dọ̀ máa lanà lọ ni. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí ẹ jẹ́ kí n lọ take a break and ilé gba calls or anything because I only have about 6 hours. Láàárín ẹ̀ náà ó yẹ yín a máa tó ṣe so many other things, the family and all that. So gbogbo ẹni tó bá ṣe darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ẹ lọ wo gbogbo program tá a ti ṣe láti àárọ̀ ẹ wò ìta ṣe lánàá gbogbo náà la máa kọ́ ọgbọ́n kan but ẹni tó bá ti bá 20 àti àdẹyọ kan mọ́ 29 lifetime ambition lọ́rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kò ń ṣe ta gbọ́dọ̀ fi ṣeré rárá. Our pains are with you at home. Èyí tẹ́ ìrówó gbà epo náà but there's nothing we can do. That is what they want to do, a deliberate act. Nǹkan fífi wá ṣe náà lọ́dún fi wá ṣe yẹn àwa la máa wá sọ pé àfẹ́ mọ́ àdẹ̀gbà but for us to do so we must all also prepare for whatever. It does not matter how painful it's going to be. Ó ti di dandan pé ká jáde kúrò ní Nàìjíríà and the pain nǹkan tó dáa ló máa bí. Ẹ má jẹ́ kó sọ fún yín pé àwọn kan jókòó sí ìlú òyìnbó wọ́n push yín. All that narrative is lies. I'm not going to take also but my wind down in just under 20 minutes or less than that. Wọ́n lè máa sọ fún yín pé Koiki àtàwọn tó ń pariwo Yorùbá nation wọ̀ sí ní Nàìjíríà already kò sí bí ẹ ṣe fẹ́ ṣe bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ láyé Nàìjíríà kò lè ní ìyanjú àfẹn tó máa ń parọ́ fún yín. Nigeria will never be a country that will give you satisfaction. So And that's why we must continue to rally around, the two, gladiator, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We must continue to pray that he does not die in the custody of the DSS, because the DSS wants him to die there. And that is going to be a very, very sad situation. So we must continue to pray, for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as well. We must also continue to pray for, all other leaders as well, especially, Babawa, leader that we have is Professor Adebanjo Akintoye. You don't have to agree with the views. That is your own cup of tea. Lágbára Elédùmarè, Nàìjíríà, Alájà ni ó ti laná gan, ó ti laná gidi gan. Èmi ò tí rí kó laná gidi gan because ó ti blọ́ọ̀kì gbogbo bí mo fẹ́ kọ́ blọ́ọ̀kì. But wọ́n ní bí ebi hàn tí wọlé dáadáa. It's not a joking matter, but that is the reality. Buhari mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn kàbá ẹ̀ wọ́n change owó mọ́ òmùgọ̀ Bọ́lá Tinubu tí kò mọ bó ṣe ń lọ. Ṣebí wọ́n sọ fún ó ní Buhari ló lulẹ̀, òun kan ti fẹ́ lulẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ yìí nísìn. Gbogbo owó tó tọ́jú pamọ́ wọ́n mọ bó ṣe fẹ́ náwó yẹn wọ́n ti bàjẹ́ mọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́. This is why we are saying that àwọn Fúlàní náà mọ nǹkan ṣe. Ta ló lè sọ fún wa pé ní 3 years ago pé wọ́n máa change owó? Mo tẹ̀rù pé àwọn kan ríran tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀. But everybody saw that crisis is going to happen. It cannot be. Kò ń ṣe tó gbọ́dọ̀ ká máa sọ pé a máa escape. Ó máa wáyé. So gbogbo ẹni tó bá dẹ̀ sọ pé kò ní wáyé, gbogbo àti wà nínú ẹ̀. Èmi náà ní family ní Nàìjíríà. Kọ́lọ́ ọ̀bẹ Elédùmarè kó wà pẹ̀lú wa. And on that note, I will leave you again. Ká gbọ́ jẹ́ kọ́mọ̀ ká tó máa lọ. And I will now say, ẹ pàdé mi ní aago 6 lágbára Elédùmarè. That will be 7 p.m. Nigerian time when we're gonna be back again. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá níyàn lé ẹ̀kúkú ti fọwọ́ ránṣẹ́ sí wọn. Wọ́n rówó gbà. Èèyàn send 20,000 naira séyàn. Wọ́n yọ 3,500 charges fee lórí POS. That is a big problem. Ẹ má bínú bí ènìyàn máa padà wá bá wọn bá ṣọ́ra wọ̀ sí ẹ má bínú. Àgbéga ìgbàgbọ́ àti dẹrù gẹ́gẹ́ ànílò jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ó dàbọ̀ ẹ má bínú ọdún yẹn wà ní ìtìlẹ̀ nǹkan ni ọmọ kan sọ pé gbogbo ẹni tó bá fìyà jẹ ìran wa ìyá náà máa dọ́dọ̀ tí wọn lágbára Ọlọ́run báyìí fún wọn.
wọ́n náà lọ Nàìjíríà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sunkún ẹgbẹ́ gbà Nàìjíríà tó fẹ́ ní education.
infrastructure wọ́n fẹ́ ní ohun kan náà fẹ́ ní ẹ wá náà fẹ́ ní bọ́ọ̀dù ẹ̀ ń sunkún ìran rẹ nígbà yìí.
Mo hope tí ẹ gbà ìwọ lẹ́nu mo rí. Àfáàmì náà wá sí òun kí wọ́n na ọmọ alábẹ̀rẹ̀ ọmọ ìdáná wọn. Kọ́lá tí Nàìjíríà máa gbọ́ bọ́ ìjọba yìí èmi wà náà tí wọ́n sọ. Ẹyẹ gémi eré ipá ẹfẹ́ yìí ní gbogbo ìgbà kò sẹ́ni kéde kò sí pa. Bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn kọ́ sí kò lè rí òkú lọ́sibítà. Ìsìnlẹ̀ kò sómi. Ó kó lọ ọ̀nà ọdún mẹ́fà wọn ò ní sí eruku pàrọ̀ àdúgbò tán.
Ọmọ Oòduà ọ̀gá Fúlàní ló jẹ́ o. Yorùbá nation yìí ti gbogbo wa ni. Kó má gbọ́dọ̀ bàjẹ́ torí kò sílù mìíràn.
Life is so funny. You come with nothing, then fight for everything, and later leave everything and go back with empty hand. God is powerful.